A Japanese mom walks into a crowded restaurant with a baby in her arms. She sits down, orders her food, and eats calmly. The baby doesn't cry, doesn't scream, doesn't throw a tantrum. Sounds impossible? In Japan, that's just a regular Thursday afternoon. Now imagine that same scene with an American baby the same age. Feels different, right? So the real question is why? It's not genetics, it's not luck, and it's definitely not because the baby was simply born in Japan. The answer is found in 5 daily habits that many Japanese moms practice from the very beginning of their baby's life. And once you understand them, you may want to start using all 5. Stay until the end, because habit number 5 is the one almost no parent in America practices, and it may be the most powerful one of all. Researchers in Japan have discovered something fascinating. The way Japanese mothers interact with their babies during the first 3 years of life can literally shape how their babies' brains develop. And the best part? You don't need to move to Tokyo to use any of this. I'm going to show you 5 habits, what science says about each one, and how you can start applying them this week. The first habit has a name you may have never heard before: skinship. In Japanese, it's called sukinshipu. It means constant, close, skin-to-skin connection between mother and baby. We're talking about carrying your baby in a wrap or baby carrier throughout the day, making physical closeness part of your daily rhythm, and staying close during playtime. In many Western parenting styles, the focus is often on toys, eye contact, and verbal interaction, what researchers call distal parenting. But many Japanese moms practice what is called proximal parenting. In other words, the baby stays physically close almost all the time. And this is where things get really interesting. German psychologist Heidi Keller spent years comparing these two parenting styles, and the results were remarkable. Babies raised with more proximal parenting tend to develop stronger self-regulation, the ability to manage emotions, calm themselves down, and stay focused. And these are not small skills. Self-regulation in early childhood is one of the strongest predictors we have for academic success, IQ scores, and even income later in life. But why would skin-to-skin contact do that? Because every time you hold your baby, their nervous system uses yours as a model. Your baby literally borrows your calm. And through thousands of tiny moments, their brain begins to learn. This is what it feels like to be regulated. Try this. Carry your baby in a wrap or baby carrier for 1 extra hour a day. That's it. Science shows that these small moments add up quickly. Habit number 2 revolves around a Japanese word that has no perfect translation in English: amai. Amai describes a deep kind of emotional closeness, the idea that a baby can fully depend on the mother, and that the mother's role is to anticipate what the baby needs, often before the baby even starts crying. In American parenting, we often hear things like, "Let the baby fuss a little." They need to learn. Japanese culture tends to move in the opposite direction. Many Japanese moms actively try to prevent distress before it starts. They watch for tiny signals, a certain look, a stretch, a soft sound, and they respond before the crying begins. And here's the science. The Japan Children's Study, a large follow-up study published in Pediatric Research, looked at what factors actually predict a baby's development at 9 months old. The strongest predictor? Maternal cognitive stimulation combined with responsive caregiving. Babies whose mothers consistently anticipated and responded to their needs showed better outcomes in receptive language, expressive language, and social development. Why does this work? Because every time you respond before your baby reaches a full meltdown, you teach their brain, the world is predictable, I am safe, I can focus on learning instead of surviving. And a calm brain is a brain ready to learn. Try this. Spend 10 minutes a day simply observing your baby. No phone, no distractions. Learn their tiny signals. You will start noticing things you never noticed before. Now, this next part surprised me when I first read it. Researchers found that during the first 2 years of a baby's life, Japanese mothers spend about 2 hours per week away from their babies. 2 hours. Mothers in Western countries in the same study, about 24 hours per week. That's 12 times more. And you can see this difference in everyday life. Co-sleeping is common in Japan, and leaving a baby with a sitter for a date night is much less common during the early years. Now, I'm not saying you should never be away from your baby. That's not realistic, especially if you're a working mom or dad. But the science here is very clear. The more responsive presence a baby receives during the first 2 years, the more secure their attachment tends to become. And securely attached babies often grow into children who explore more, take healthy risks, and learn faster. This is one of the strongest findings in developmental psychology, and Japanese parenting often lives it out naturally, almost without thinking about it. Try this. The next time you're tempted to put your baby in front of a screen, just so you can get something done, try wearing them in a baby carrier instead, or keeping them in the same room with you. Presence beats entertainment, every time. The fourth habit is about discipline, but probably not in the way you imagine. The Japanese word shitsuki can be translated as discipline, but in practice, it means something closer to formation, education, or training. And the philosophy behind it is completely different from how many parents in the West usually deal with bad behavior. In American parenting, the cycle often looks like this. The child misbehaves, leads to the parent reacts to punishment, lecture, or negotiation. Shitsuki flips that logic. Instead of reacting to bad behavior, the parent asks, "What skill has my child not developed yet?" If a toddler is grabbing toys from another child, the missing skill is sharing. So, you teach sharing. If a child is screaming when frustrated, the missing skill is emotional regulation. So you teach ways to calm down. This is also why Japanese parents are known for rarely scolding their children in public. Correction usually happens privately, calmly, and it focuses on the behavior, not on the child's character. Research on this is consistent. Punitive discipline predicts more behavior problems, while teaching-based discipline predicts better self-control, better social skills, and yes, better cognitive outcomes. A 2015 longitudinal study with more than 1,000 Japanese children found that parenting practices focused on cognitive and emotional involvement while avoiding restriction and punishment predicted significantly greater self-control and cooperation by age 5. Try this. The next time your child does something wrong, pause and ask yourself, what skill is missing here? Then teach that skill. That one shift can change everything. And now we arrive at habit number 5, the one almost no Western parent practices, and honestly, the one I find the most beautiful. It's called mimamoru. It literally means to watch over and protect. Mimamoru is the art of watchful waiting. It's when your child is struggling with something, trying to solve a puzzle, dealing with a small conflict with another child, trying to climb somewhere. And instead of rushing in to help or correct, you watch. You stay close enough to step in if they are truly in danger, but you allow them to try to solve the problem on their own. This is the opposite of what we sometimes call helicopter parenting in America. And the developmental psychology behind this is very strong. When children are given space to solve their own problems, their brains develop something called executive function, the ability to plan, focus, switch between tasks, and keep going when something is hard. Executive function in early childhood predicts school performance even better than IQ. Japanese preschools are famous for being built around this principle. Teachers often allow children to argue, struggle, and even cry a little before stepping in. Because every time an adult solves the problem too quickly, the child loses a chance to strengthen that mental muscle. Try this. The next time your child is mildly frustrated, not in danger, just frustrated, count to 30 before you intervene. Watch what happens. Most of the time, they find a solution. And every time they do, their brain gets stronger. So, when you look back at these 5 habits, did you notice something? None of them are about flashcards. None of them are about expensive toys. Baby Einstein videos, or teaching math at 2 years old. They're about presence, responsiveness, and trust. That is the real lesson Japanese moms offer to the rest of the world. Intelligent babies are not built through overstimulation. They are shaped by a calm, connected, predictable environment where the brain can do what it was designed to do. You don't need to be Japanese to apply any of this. You just need to be intentional. See you in the next video.